Hey guys, Pete here, HVAC Greatness. So I wanted to take a minute and talk to you guys who are coming from outside of the industry and considering buying a heating and air conditioning business, or maybe investing in a heating and air conditioning business. And the reason I wanted to do this is because there's really a big need to support those and actually give proper guidance and counseling from the front end before you make some really expensive mistakes. HVAC or heating and air conditioning is, or it can be, a very lucrative business, a very profitable business, but it doesn't run the way most businesses that you're familiar with run. It's a little different. But when it's run right, it can be particularly profitable. Now, the favorite specialty is residential heating and air conditioning. That seems to be the most focused entry point for even people within the industry. They start with residential heating and air, which is the typical home, the homeowner. But there are also businesses that focus on light commercial. Think about strip malls and your local doctors' clinics and accounting offices and things of this nature. Those are pretty good too, and a lot of residential companies do that as well. Then, of course, there's refrigeration. So think about your convenience store with coolers and freezers and all of these things. But the level of technical skills and I guess the broadness of those skills needs end up being an issue for a lot of people, because one of the biggest challenges, of course, is hiring the technical help that you need. Because if you're coming from outside of the industry, you're probably focused on the business aspect and the numbers, and you don't know much about anything about heating and air conditioning. First of all, I should say that it's extremely competitive. And the downside to this is that many of your competition, they don't understand how to run their business from a financial standpoint, and they tend to undercharge for their services. Because unlike a product that has a controlled manufacturing environment and we can keep costs consistent, when you're dealing with services and you're literally having to go out into the world and make these things happen, there's a lot of things that can go wrong, and there's a lot of expenses tied to that. And so there's a lot of room for inefficiency, and there's a lot of room to lose money. Okay. So it's not easy, and it's not for everybody. Back in the 1990s, when I had my business, there was a group of what they called consolidators, and they came out and they began buying up various locations under different brands and unifying them under a single brand name so that they could have franchise-like businesses, right? Not really franchise, but you know what I'm saying? A branded presence in multiple markets and unifying that. And there was a lot of money that came in. Unfortunately, there was a lot of money that was lost. Most of those businesses didn't make it. Some of them survived. Even those that survived, they don't have all their original locations. They sold many locations off at a loss. I think about ARS. They're still around. Service Experts, Blue Dot. So there was a lot of them that aren't even around anymore. And the reason is that it's not easy to run. And if you try to go in with a mindset, that corporate mindset, like they did, and you're holding these margins that are unrealistic, and you're treating it like a cash cow, and you're not actually investing your time in the business, developing systems and processes and a culture and a connection with your clientele. Ultimately, that will lead to attrition and ultimately failure. And so we've seen that a lot in the 90s. Well, private investors have come in post COVID because COVID taught us one thing that, first of all, it was an essential service. And while many businesses were suffering horribly, a lot of heating and air conditioning companies were having record years. Why? Because all their customers were trapped in their house and there's nothing to do. And they started looking around the house. Well, maybe I need to change these cabinets, or maybe I need to change this furnace, right? So it created a lot of opportunity. And because it's gotten that attention, a lot of private investors have come in and started to buy these companies. Now, like the consolidators in prior years, they didn't understand what they're getting themselves into. And so they end up getting a bit of an education because it's not a cash cow. That's mistake number one, treating it like a cash cow. You just want your money to do your work for you. And you just want to sit back and let the money come in. Mistake number two is choosing the wrong business to buy or invest in. You need to know what you're looking at so that you can see the true potential value of this business opportunity. And it may be a situation where the juice just isn't worth the squeeze because of what you're going to have to invest in it to bring it up to the standards that you hope to get out of it. Number three is the right market, and specifically the right customer avatar. And if you buy a business based on, well, I have this many customers and I've done this much in revenues, and you don't really focus on, but who are they serving? What type of customers are they working for? What are their average tickets? And this is huge because you'll quickly find out when you get in this business, not all customers are created equally. And Mark over one of our mastermind groups, he made the comment the other night that here he is going into his 8th or 9th year. And his biggest change is he's changing his customers. He's upgrading his customers. What got him started didn't get him to the next level, and he began to work for a different type of customer. So your customer avatar is key. And I think mistake number 5 is leaning on your own understanding. And as smart as you are, and no matter what your experience is, we all can learn from others and the experience of others. And so a good move, if you've made the right decision and you're going to buy the right company, you may want to consider keeping the seller on, not as a transitional manager, but as an actual partner and with skin in the game. And here's somebody that understands the day in and day out requirements to keep the business running healthfully, in a healthy manner. And so I had a client that sold his business. I'm not going to say where. I was actually part of the process. And I put him together with the agent. He sold his business. He was happy. The agent was happy. The buyer was happy. And they kept him on for a period of time. And obviously, he's that transitional manager. And he's going to work there for a while. And then he's going to leave and go into retirement. And he did. But he was constantly calling me and telling me, Pete, you know, these guys, they won't do what I ask. I'm telling them we need to invest in some marketing right now. They don't want to do it. I'm telling them we need to do this. They don't want to do it. And he's trying to keep this thing together, not just with the customers, but also with the culture, the team, the very people that you need in order to be productive and profitable, and that you lean on, so that you're not out in the field climbing in attics, under houses, in basements, or wherever. So, but yeah, he went through a pretty painful process. The business paid a pretty penny for it. He's since left. There has been somewhat of an exodus of employees leaving the company because it was just too big of a change. They didn't like where the company went. And now the company's still operational, but it's a fraction of what they had originally bought. And they don't have the skill set to build it back up. In short, they lost a lot of money. Now they're moving some cash, but not nearly enough to cover get the proper return off of their investment. So, and the funny thing is, the new owner, they don't take accountability. They're going to blame employees. They're going to blame the market. They're going to blame the economy. They're going to blame a host of things. But still, there's an upside. So if you're an investor and and you want to come into the business, realize this, that most heating and air conditioning business owners, and I was one of them, they're not sophisticated. Not at first. They learn the technical skills, and I was a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, so I learned in the military, but they typically learn at the local trade school. But it was a similar thing, and they end up going into business for themselves like I did. But it's a different skill set to run the business. And sometimes they make poor decisions and they assume that the solution is addressing the symptom and not the root cause. So there's a lot of ignorance in heating and air conditioning business owners. That's how I make my living, is working with business owners and helping them evolve and get to that next level. A lot of it's just mindset, but a huge part of it is education. They have to learn to be able to calculate their numbers and understand their numbers. They have to learn how to be able to set quotas and achieve them. They have to learn how to implement processes and do retail sales. And they have to learn how to market and brand and scale, grow their business to that next level. And so with each growth, hitting each next level, there's a whole new education that comes about. So you're particularly at a disadvantage if you're from outside of the industry, but that almost gives you an advantage in some other ways, which I'll go into some other time. But there's no real substitute for experience. So if you're thinking about investing in a heating and air conditioning business, I absolutely, and I guess the fact that this is part of what I do, it sounds maybe a little loaded, but it's the truth. You need professional guidance. You need somebody on your side that is going to help you, that is going to give you the feedback you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Your employees are probably not going to tell you what you need to hear. They're going to tell you what you want to hear. And the return on investment on really good advice is huge. And this business is huge. I've watched these small business owners. I'll just take them through sales training, watch their eyes come up, open up, and watch their numbers just explode. They'll take a $2,000-3,000 course and turn that into an extra $10,000 a month, oftentimes in margin, in gross margin. And so that's really nice. So whether it be in pricing, accounting, KPIs, that area, you need to understand that and how it's unique in this industry, because your KPIs are going to be different. Or maybe it's your marketing position, strategizing that. Most people just assume, well, if I do heating and air, the phone's going to ring. Well, all those competitive companies out there that are working for nothing do heating and air. And if you're thrown into that category, well, now you're just comparable you're being compared to them based on, your price. And so that's why professional branding is going to be really important. And that's based on a strategy, which is based on your marketing research and positioning. And then finally, learning the service side of those customer touch points, those processes and systems that allow you to leave that customer saying, wow, I spent more, but it was worth it. So there's a lot to the business. And I'm looking over at my notes because I didn't want to miss anything, but I've been doing this for 42 years was when I first came into the industry, for maybe around 42, 1982. That's right. And so I've gone through a lot. I started off in the military, like I said, did the technical aspect, ran a business, sold, managed, lost money, made money, went to consulting, learned training, came back, made more money, lost more money, and I've been through a great cycle and actually sold my business and went to work for the manufacturer. Learned that side of the business because while the customer's trying to beat you down by dropping the price, your suppliers are trying to beat you up by raising theirs, and they're just squeezing you. You're going to have to learn how to work with both groups. Your customers, you got to build that value to earn more, and your vendors, you got to keep them in check so that they don't take advantage of you and overcharge you. So, like I said, there's a lot to this. If you'd like a little bit of guidance, I do offer a free 30-minute strategy call. Let me see if we can help you out. Pete Ramsey here, HVAC Greatness. I hope this was helpful to you, and hopefully we'll see you out there one day when you have your heating and air conditioning business. Talk to you later. Bye.